From the mind of Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov.
All right, if you are ready, willing, and able to DIY an 87 style microphone, I don't think there's a better project out there than the Michael Fuchs u87ai. This to me is a killer, absolutely perfect DIY project. And yeah, and I did shave the beard. And so it was actually an accident. I goofed up trimming the sideburns, so I was like, screw it, take the whole thing off. So I'm just telling everyone I had a procedure to look 10 years younger. So the Michael Fuchs u87ai, right, is inspired by the u87ai. Now, the I, of course, in the designation is for international. It means it has a 3-pin XLR connector, right? So the u87ai by Michael Fuchs is not a direct copy. It's not a counterfeit clone of a u87ai. It is inspired by, and it could actually be argued that it's an improvement of the u87ai. Because what Michael Fuchs has done is he's enhanced the vintage u87 circuit so that the capsule is polarized at the same voltage, 60 volts, as the u87ai, as opposed to 48 volts for the u87 vintage. So with that, you get better self-noise, better sensitivity, but what you don't get is you don't kind of get that strident top end. You don't get that anemic low end that you get with the AI. And look, I'm one of those people that whenever I've used a real Neumann 87 AI, one of the first things that my ear says to me is, man, that low end feels disappointing. So, right? So what Michael Fuchs did was he kind of kicked in the butt and made sure that the low end felt really full. Right? So I'm what, like 3-4 inches off the mic, and it sounds very full. But what I like about this is you can back off it, right? If you're doing character stuff.
If you're doing character stuff, it's really perfect for about a foot away. And that way you can get a nice full sound without having to compromise or EQ it too much.
As a matter of fact, you can see that the EQ right there, I have a low-end roll-off going on, right? There's not a whole lot of EQ going on. I've got my presence pop here. I've got a little air pop. I can take that out. I know some of you are going to be like, oh, it sounds much better without the EQ. But the thing is, the way a mic sounds on its own and the way it needs to sound when you drop it on a music bed are two completely different things in voiceover. So let me turn this back on. This would be a work tone. So it doesn't really take much to make this sound great. Here, let me get this out here. So the Michael Fuchs u87 build is, I would say you absolutely should have a couple of mic builds under your belt, because I would say it's definitely not a beginner build at all. It's an intermediate build, maybe advanced intermediate. Because there's a lot of small parts. So you have to be comfortable, dealing with small parts on a tiny circuit board. And there are parts that kind of go over the board and under the board, kind of in the same area. So you really have to have an idea in your mind how these things go together so that you're not you're not just randomly popping parts in. You really have to methodically put it together. And then when you do it like that and you do it right, you get this. Now, granted, I did have a couple of issues that really stemmed with me just me goofing up. And Michael Fuchs was awesome because he helped me out with it. And the end result, again, speaks for itself. So it's a cool build if you know what you're doing and you want to build an 87 that sounds great, right? Has a full low end, the high end, the top end on this. Doesn't feel strident at all. It doesn't feel pokey. It feels nice, right? It feels very smooth. And this build came together with a 3U Audio K87, a UTM 5087 transformer, big iron. So you can kind of feel that in there. I think part of the low-end mass you're hearing in here is this 5087. And also, I think it's also kind of softening transients a little bit. So this is a good storytelling mic. And the body here is the thing that I like the least. The body looks great. So I got this off AliExpress for $39. It looks great. But there's one problem. The only problem with this mic. There's a resonance, and it comes from the head basket. The way the head basket and the capsule deck kind of sit. And I've tried to dampen this resonance, but I haven't been able to really effectively dampen it. That's like around C3. So that would be 120, somewhere between 110 and 140 hertz. Let's just call it 125 hertz, right? So somewhere around there. That's not right. But somewhere around there, right, you get this resonance. So if you put this in front of a guitar cab and you're like cranking into it, you might get a little bit of that overtone capture in there, the resonance. But if I'm just talking into it, just like this, even if
Even if I'm screaming into it from back here.
right, I'm not going to really activate that resonance in a way that's going to be massively disruptive to my capture. So it works. It's annoying, but hey, and I've tried and I can't really fix it. So there might be a better body out there. But what I like about this body though is the head basket is the right dimension of an 87. So you know what? You give and take, and you end up sometimes with something, and you're like, well, this may be an issue, but overall, I don't think it's gonna be a big issue. Where were we? I got sidetracked by the resonance. Oh yeah, so overall, you know what? You could build this in a better body. You could build it with a different transformer. You could build it with a different capsule. I have my previous Fuchs has an RN Audio K87 in it, the version 1 K87, and I love the sound of that. But it's a different sounding mic because it has a different capsule, a different transformer, and a different body. So I'm building a small arsenal of 87 style microphones that vary just a little bit here, there, and everywhere. So the nuanced difference between them makes it a really interesting palette of colors. The Fuchs u87ai. I mean, this thing is
It's pretty awesome. I love this microphone. I really do. I really love this microphone.
this thing is great. I would totally work with this thing any day of the week. All right, so are you inclined to build an 87? If so, I have the link. It's not like you can buy this at a store. You have to go to Group DIY, and there's a thread for it. And there's a link to contact Michael Fuchs, and you have to buy it from him directly, and he has to ship it to you to your home country, and it may take a couple of weeks or more, and you have to buy all the parts. I bought all mine from Mauser. I had to source the body from AliExpress. I bought the transformer directly from UTM, and yeah. And then you carefully put it together. There isn't a detailed instruction set. So again, you kind of have to have a couple of builds under your belt, really kind of an idea of what's in front of you. But again, the end justifies the means, and the end is pretty cool. The Michael Fuchs u87ai DIY mic project. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. All right, until next time, this is Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov, fading into black.